tuned in to the #1 social media show on the net with your host, Bernardo, WBGF TV.
That's what's up. Tú lo sabes. Ahora sí se formó. Se formó. Oh shit. Agárralo. Mira. Watch this shit. Mira. Boom. Muchacho. You know who made me that? My good friend. Rob the Rock. Hold on a second. Speedy,
Yeah.
before we
All right,
start.
so we're not live yet, right? Because I see you and me on my computer.
We're live. Believe me,
We're live.
No, we're live. Let me go make it public. Let me go check all this stuff before we start this amazing conversation coming up.
Well, I see myself like still, and I see you still.
We're live, bro. Believe me. So you might want to share this and let me go in there and
All right, wait, let me share it right now, bro. I'm gonna share it on my page.
we're live. Believe me,
We're live.
No, we're live.
Okay.
Let me go make it public. Let me go check all this stuff before
I just shared it public.
That's good.
It's on my timeline right now.
People, give me a moment. I'm trying to get all this stuff done. So please bear with me right here, my good friends. Okay, bear with me, because this one is gonna be good. I don't know if you guys know that I have a breaking dance legend, the pioneer, one of the very first people who imported breaking from New York and all them places over here to the area of South Florida. So this one is a very good program. So you might want to share this one because this program is one of them educational, historic programs. Okay, let me make sure I have this one in public. Dame un segundo ahí, Ricky. A ver, what I do? What am I missing here? See, because sometimes what I do is I share it only to my friends, and a lot of people get left out, bro. A ver, ¿cómo se hace? How do I make it public? Editing private.
I thought you said it was public.
Oh, yeah. And now it's public. Ahora sí. Ahora se formó. Now you can, you know what? Now you can see everything. Dice Ana Morales. Yes, I can hear you both. So we good, bro. We coming through right. And you might want to share this one. Speedy, you might want to share it in your Facebook.
Yeah. I think I could do that, Bernie.
Now you can, okay, you need to lower your volume down. Dice Ana Morales. Yes, I can hear you. I know. I think I have to lower this shit down. Hold on.
No, yeah, it's you, man. I don't have any volume up.
Yeah, it was me. Hold on one second because people like to hear this intro. People, mira. Yo, you guys remember what Rob the Rock made me for my program? Hold on one second. I'm gonna play it again.
You are tuned in to the #1 social media show on the net
On the planet.
with your host, Bernardo, WBGF TV.
I never. Ahora sí. I never. Ahí va. Boom. My good friend Rob La Rock. He is the person responsible for this nice, beautiful intro that we all enjoy whenever whenever we go live over here. What's up, peeps? So today I have a very special program, bro. Our program today is beautiful because this is what I live for. You know what I'm saying? I live for the arts, and right here I got my good friend from long time ago, and pioneer of the breaking movement over here in the area of South Florida. When it first started, this is the very first person that I saw breakdancing. I must have been 10, 11, 11, 12, 10?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
what happened, bro? You know, because I'm trying to see where I start, and I'm like, man, I'm not even gonna ask questions. I just want to like, this is like an investigative report.
Why don't you start?
Yeah,
Start. Ask me what. I mean, listen. You were just taking it back to when you used to live across the street from me, and you used to come to the projects, the housing projects where I used to live, and when I used to practice outside in the basketball courts and all of that. And I remember you with your guitar when you were learning how to play the guitar, and then you were into music. So so I'm here. I'm here waiting for you to set it off, man. I'm ready.
Okay, what happened, bro? Because I feel like it's an investigative report, and you have the right lighting in your face. Oh, so I feel like one of them FBI agents that is about to interrogate. I want to interrogate this moment in history. When I say history, because it really is history, and I remember when somewhere after breaking went silent there for a moment. I remember talking to you, and you used to tell me, "Bro, breaking is coming back." And I'm thinking to myself I was probably like 15, 16 at that particular moment. I'm saying to myself, but how it's gone. Breaking's gone. Breaking is not coming back. It's gone. Little did I know that you were right. Breaking did come back. Breaking got bigger. It went on a global level. Breaking right now is on a global scale. Say it, my friend.
Listen, man. Going back to the times when you used to come around, where I used to live at. One of the guys that I first saw breaking was a guy named Mr. Flex.
Mr. Flex.
He was the one that came from New York City to Miami and happened to, he lived like 3 blocks away from me, and he imported that New York culture and flavor to my neighborhood. So that's how I got introduced to breaking, and when I got introduced to it, the first time I saw it, it was, I was used to seeing the dances they did in the skating ring. And really the first dancing that I saw that people used to mix them up together, but they're totally different dances, was popping and locking. So popping and locking were the first dances that I saw that were already dances that were being done here for years before breaking came to Miami. So by the time breaking came here, it was the early 80s, 81, 82, around that period of time. And Flex had moved down with his family. So they were living like pretty much down the street from me. And
let me ask you a question before I go any further. Who was Flex? What's the story of Flex? So he came down from where? So from New York, right?
Well, he came down from New York City, and he was part of a group called the Floor Masters, which they later became the New York City Breakers. And the New York City Breakers were the guys that you saw in the movie Beat Street against Rocksteady Crew, and they were also the Breakers that you saw when they had the Ronald Reagan inauguration. The guys that you saw breaking for the president, that was the New York City Breakers. So Flex was part of that crew.
Let me ask you a question. Did Flex kept contact with his crew in New York? When he came down to South Florida, did he kept contact with them, or once he came through, he never went back?
Some of them he kept in contact with, because Flex would go to New York every summer. So he would come down here and be here through the whole winter and all of that. And then every time summer came, his family would go to New York for, to visit family. So he would go to New York for the summer. And sometimes I wouldn't see him again till maybe, the fall time came back, But he always kept in contact, with the guys up there. So So pretty much, he moved down the street from where I lived at, and I met him at a schoolyard, which there was a high school, which you went to that high school, HML, I believe, right?
HML, Hialeah Miami Lakes.
Yeah. So the high school I used to go practice and exercise at. So I used to go there to exercise and practice, some of my martial arts, movements, katas and stuff like
Yeah.
that I was practicing because I was heavily into karate back in those times. And
I remember the floor, Rick. The reason why there was a lot of breaking there is because the floor was really smooth.
well, yeah, that's the floor in front of the high school. When you come down the steps,
Steps.
that floor was smooth concrete, so it was polished. So the polished concrete was like a cafeteria floor. So we used to go there to practice all the spinning, like how to learn how to backspin and head spin and the continuous backspin, which is what people call the windmill. So those are the moves that we would practice there. And then we would practice footwork on the concrete. So we would practice on the concrete to do all the leg work on the floor, and then all the spinning we would practice on the schoolyard steps. The entrance to the high school. So
Right.
going back to all of that. So when I met Flex, I knew he wasn't from the neighborhood because I knew how everybody in the neighborhood looked. So. I met this dude, and what stood out about him was that first of all, he was taller than I was, and he was about 6'1",
Yeah.
and he had a big fro. He had a big afro, but the afro was like really nice and tight, like really nice and
Yeah.
combed, and he had he was in shorts, and he had pro kids on, so. People around my neighborhood never really wore pro keds. They were more into Converse. Everything was Converse. The leather Converse, the canvas Converse. That was like the sneaker in my neighborhood, pretty much. They wore the Decks, the All Stars, and the leather tops,
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing I noticed. And then he had a sweatshirt, and the sweatshirt said Mr. Flex on it. So I never seen that. That was the first time I seen somebody, with that kind of look. So he started talking to me, and I wasn't really paying no attention to him because I was kind of like in the zone, like, trying to practice what I was doing. And he was just telling me, yeah, I like that kung fu stuff, which what I was doing wasn't kung fu, but I understood what he meant. Because everybody was a Bruce Lee fan. You know what I mean? So
Everybody want a kung fu fighting.
yeah, exactly.
I remember.
So anyways, so we talked for a little bit, but I didn't see breaking yet. Not till I went to a high school football game. We went to a junior varsity game at the schoolyard they had one night because they had a big football field in the back. That's where the JV team used to play. So we went there one night. Me, my brother, a couple guys from the projects where we lived at. We really used to go to try to talk to the girls. That's
Hang
what
out,
we
hang out, hang out.
didn't really care about the football game.
Chulo, Bobby.
So all of a sudden, I see a big circle and people like screaming and all that. I thought it was like a big fight, man. So when I got closer, I saw the same kid that I met, Mr. Flex, throwing his body around on the floor like on one hand, like contorting his body around. And man, I had never seen that. That was like the first time I saw that, and I was like, wow, that is incredible. I was into gymnastics and stuff like that, and I already knew the dances from the neighborhood, which everybody was moonwalking and doing all of that in the beginning, because it's like when the song Planet Rock came out,
Mhm.
So, and Rapper's Delight had came out like 2 or 3 years before, so we we were into the rap game as far as like the we used to call them the skating ring jams because when we go to the skating ring, that's where you would hear all the rap records at, except Rapper's Delight. Rapper's Delight, you would hear it on the radio with Curtis Blow's. Uh, Curtis Blow is another rapper you hear on the radio with the song "The Breaks" and Christmas rap and all that.
Right.
So we were familiar with Curtis Blow and Grandmaster Flash a little later, but we more familiar in the beginning with the Sugar Hill Gang and Curtis Blow on the radio. And then in the skating ring, we would hear Monster Jam and all these different. I don't know if you remember if you ever went to Super Skating Center
Of
back
course.
in those days.
Of course. 49th Street
Yeah.
High and 16th.
Yeah, you
Sure.
remember they used to play those jams, and then people would be in front of the DJ booth dancing. Remember that they used to be doing the Apache and these little dances, that kind of looked like breaking, but it wasn't breaking. It was different,
Mm-hmm.
So then, not only did I see when I saw Flex, everybody was around him, so he was like a god, and I was kind of like, damn, that's the dude that I met, a couple days before, when I was out here practicing. So, man, that's pretty cool, So, I wouldn't see him again till I went to Super Skating Center. So I remember I went to Super Skating Center one night, and everybody was skating. It was a regular skating ring night. Everybody was doing their thing, and then all of a sudden, some big circle popped up in the middle of the skating ring floor, and everybody stopped skating, and everybody kind of like ran to the middle of the skating ring, and it was Flex. But then this time there was another guy that was battling him. They were battling each other, and I had never seen that. And it was a guy named Ozrock. So now it was Flex and Ozrock, and man, I was starting to understand that.
Yeah, you was witnessing something different, something new.
Yeah, this to me it was like a whole new wave of street culture because back in those days we didn't call it hip hop, we didn't call it rap music either. We called it MC music, roller skating music. So because that's where we heard the jams at. But a couple years later, then we would hear the terminology hip hop, breaking, rapping, and everything else that went with it. But
give me a second right there, Speedy. Let me inform our people what they're watching. You're watching basically a historic interview about the breaking, b-boy breaking culture, how it broke over here in the area of South Florida. And right here with me, I got the one of them pioneers that that basically spread this amazing movement all over the South Florida area. His name is Rick Fernandez, my good friend, aka Speedy Legs.
Well, I wouldn't say I spread it through South Florida. I mean, years later, what I did was I kept it going and I kept it alive. The ones that did that was Flex and Ozrock. They were the ones that were old enough to go to all the clubs, adult clubs at the time. I was almost there with them. Matter of fact, when I was good enough to break, they used to sneak me in because they were older than me. I was probably about 16 at the time, and they were about already 18, almost 20. So they were older men already. I was a little jit. So going back to that, as I try to recollect my memories on some of this stuff. So then in the beginning it was the skating rings, and that's where I pretty much started seeing it evolve. And then later came the teen clubs, and I remember in Hialeah they had a club called Club Destiny. So Club Destiny, which is a ballroom now, it's still there. It's on I believe on West 60th Street, right off of 20th Ave next to the Palmetto.
Yeah.
So it was Club Destiny, and then later, let me see if I remember, there was Big Daddy's, 103rd, which was right across the street from Super Skating Ring. That's another hangout people used to hang out at. A lot of the lockers used to hang out there. There was a group of lockers from Carroll City. And I remember a guy named Rubber Band, and I think his name was Teddy Bear. Another guy named Snake. A couple guys that I knew that were lockers. This girl named Pinky. And those are some of the people that I knew from from the dance scene that really had nothing to do with breaking. They were kind of doing their own thing. Breaking came in and kind of just got everybody by surprise. So then, Oz and Flex started going to all the clubs, all the bars and lounges, and getting in all the dance contests and pretty much competing in all of them. And they would go to the black clubs too, down in the city. They had the Jetaway, they had Big Daddy's 8600, Big Daddy's 119, Magic City Lounge, Allegros. These are some of the clubs that I remember. I'm trying to just.
What year was this?
Oh man, this was like early 80s, like
Early 80s.
82, 83.
Let me ask you a question. The B Club was not yet around. 82.
No. The B Club came around 83. And the B Club is where I first saw Erotic Exotic and Frank Lords and all these guys when they were doing new wave, when they were playing in their bands. That's the first time I saw those dudes. That was another culture,
Yeah, but I remember being at the B Club because I was I was into both cultures. I remember that the
Bernie,
like Friday nights over there.
Bernie, listen, what I remember about you was you kind of admired all the cultures.
Oh,
anything that had to do with music and dance, you were there, and I, and that was.
You remember I used to rock that guitar all the time.
All the time, bro.
All the time, bro. Me and my guitar and all that stuff, yo. So I do remember.
I remember the projects they wanted to jump you.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, nah, man, leave him alone, bro. You jump him, you're gonna deal with me. Well, so
the projects, McDonald's Park, right in front of the projects.
Yeah, McDonald's Park, where everybody used to go hang out at. Man, you go around that neighborhood now, bro, and it's desolate. It's like quiet completely.
Yeah, not in those days.
No, not in those days. I met some kid that did my lights on my car a while back before I got sick and fell in the hospital. I had this kid that did my headlights on my car, and he lived in the projects. And I told him, bro, do you know what this was called back then? Do you know? And he didn't know nothing. I had to school him. I had to tell him, bro, this place didn't look nothing like it looks like now.
Yeah.
You guys got, how do I say this? You got, air conditioning. I mean, the air conditioning is, back then we had those little boxes in the wall.
Yeah.
So they got central AC now. They redid all the units, the parking lots. They got lights. None of that existed when I was
there. It was a crazy time because that's when we, a bunch of, I remember that we came from Cuba and, there was nowhere in Miami where they accepted like kids in apartments and stuff like that. So that area over there was, they and that's where, my family came through. Mm-hmm.
Listen, you know what's funny? The apartments across the street from the projects, the apartments that were on 75th, 74th, 77th Street, they were all really nice looking apartments.
Mm-hmm.
And the projects was in the middle of this big field, which people were like, don't go in there. It's
don't
dangerous.
Go in there. It's dangerous.
Right? So these projects were like in the middle of this nice neighborhood. Now you go there today, and the projects are brand new, completely redone, head to toe. And the apartments that used to be nice all across the street, they look like tenements. They're all like run down. I mean, it's really sad to see, but it's just amazing how the projects came up and then the apartments across the street went down.
Yeah.
You know,
I gotta
but
go. I want to go by the old neighborhood and see. Once in a while.
you should, man. You should go by there. Well, sometimes, I mean, I can't now because I can't drive. I can't do anything now. Uh, but back then, yeah, I would always go by there to kind of remember where I came from and never forget.
Yeah.
And
I do that once in a while. I go, a nice little ride into memory lane. I go to Hialeah. I go all over the place.
yeah,
I take a couple of my family and say, yo, we did this, we did that. This is what we did. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful to have one of those dates, where you have one of those days with your what you did with history, an encounter with times that are no longer here, and I really have fun doing that because I think we really had fun. We had fun back in them days. Remember them Halloween? You remember them Halloween celebrations in the streets? How wild they were.
yeah,
Remember them?
yeah, definitely. I was gonna tell you. So going back to what you were saying earlier, so I don't lose my train of thought.
Yeah, we was in 1983. We was already in the B Club.
Yeah, the B Club started popping off, but before the B Club, there was Castle Park.
That's right.
And there was Video Powerhouse. But Castle Park, like I was telling one of my homeboys the other day, my homeboy Chili Willie, we were talking about those times, and I told him, look, I remember, Castle Park was a central area for Hialeah, Carol City, North Miami, Sweetwater, anybody that was from La Sahuesera. And that's where everybody went, was to Castle Park. Now, Video Powerhouse was the New York crowd. So anybody that was from New York would go to Video Powerhouse. That was, rarely anybody from the other part of town would go down there. And it was true. It was different. I mean, the even the music they played was different, But I was happy to be in both places. I would go to Video Powerhouse on some nights, and then some other nights would go to Castle Park. Then when the B Club came in, it kind of just took everybody out. The B Club became.
Let me just say a few things in here. This is what I remember. Let me my recollection of what happened. So I remember that there was New Wave. Like you said a little while ago, we had Frank Lords and we had all this crazy people looking crazy with all them haircuts, and I love that too. Yeah.
Listen, I loved it. I used to do shows with Frank Lords when he used to when he had Secret Society.
Right.
We would open up for them sometimes. We do our little B-boy show before they would go on and perform, and that's how I met Frank. I met Frank like that, and but I remembered them when they used to play with also Erotic Exotic before they became Erotic Exotic.
Yeah.
And they used to play at,
Erotic Exotic is the band that brought us hits like Take Me As I Am, Come On Baby.
Right. I knew Eric. Eric used to love seeing me break. Every time he used to see me break, he used to tell me, man, that's incredible what you do. I just admire it. And that was a good compliment coming from him. You know what I mean? That may he rest in peace. So, but definitely, I remember those days. I remember talking to to them. When we did a couple shows together too. You know what I'm saying? So I was trying to tell you.
Take a. So if you want to take a pause there, so you lower down the music. I hear some music in the background.
Yeah, sure. How do I pause it?
Where's the music at?
It's actually coming from my mom's room. She's listening to some boleros.
Oh no. Then leave it in the background. It's okay. That's cool.
It doesn't matter, right?
Doesn't matter. It's okay. If it's mom, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just my mom trying to get my attention.
Yeah.
She doesn't know I'm in the middle of an interview right now.
It's okay. So I remember. So I remember because at that particular time, like I say, I used to be in love with the two culture, the new wavers. That GQ new wave. And also breaking. So in the beat club, I remember, mommy, ¿qué pasó? Ahí está, there's mom. How are you? Oh, Joe.
Don't get her started, Bernie. Don't get her started. She won't stop.
Okay, bueno, esto. So I remember that
Yeah.
that you guys at the beat club, the breakers had like I think it was Friday night or Sunday, and we had like
breaking was on Friday nights, but it wasn't like that in the beginning. They used to do they used to play disco too. So they used to do that on Friday nights, and then that didn't work out for them. So they brought in hip hop, and hip hop became like almost like it became their best night. That's where I saw Run DMC perform, Tila Rock, Mantronics. You name it, everybody was there. Everybody that had a rock name back in those days.
Perform at the beat club. All this historic, great hip hop pioneers.
Yep, every single one of them.
Who performed there?
And then of course, when the Fresh Festival came, we went to that, and I would go live in New York City years later. But when I went to live in New York was to really, I wanted to catch up with some of the guys I had heard up so much about that Flex used to tell me about, because, Flex used to tell me about the Rocksteady crew and all these other guys that he was down with. So,
and you wanted to meet them.
I wanted to share the love of the culture that I had with them. But when I went there, some of them were kind of on their own thing, so and then it was a different era too. That's when the drugs really hit really hard, and then freestyle music was starting to come out. And that's when I first saw freestyle music. Before it even came to Miami, I saw it in New York first when it was coming out, and I saw also, when they played house music before house music was even big out here, So
it was underground over there in New York. It was just starting.
Yeah, it would come to Miami a year, 2 years later, because back then in New York City, by the time everything came down in Miami, it would be a year later, because it was always about the fashion and the music and all of that, whatever came out that was hot at the time. Unless somebody from New York that had family in Florida would come down and kind of bring the swagger with them. Like my cousin used to bring me the mixtapes from New York. I had a cousin that lived up there that used to come down here and bring me mixtapes, and I would listen to, wow, this is really good. And I would collect my little mixtapes and just the latest, even Flex would tell me, there's a new move called this. And I kind of had to figure out what the new move was, because Flex couldn't really even do the move. So he would try to do it, but he wouldn't be able to pick it up. And then he would explain it to me how I was. And I was able to figure out how to do the move. And then that's how I started developing more and more and more and more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on, Bernie. Hold on.
Go do what you do.
Oh, that's nice, Mom. I like it.
Go do what you do, bro. If you want to go.
My mom was showing me something. That was nice.
Do what you do, bro.
Yeah, I like it. It looks nice. Yes. Bernie.
Está bien. Seguimos.
Okay, so then getting back to like I was telling you, so when breaking started phasing out, it was summer of 1985. So the summer of 1985, it started kind of like, by that time there was a club in Hialeah called Club Illusions. Remember that place?
Yes, sir. I remember that place well.
Right. So Club Illusions was opened up where the old skating ring, Super Skating Center used to be. So that's where they opened up Club Illusions. And then the culture was completely changing, by the time it started being called like hip hop, booty music came in, and but they didn't call it that down here. They didn't use the terminology hip hop to this type of music. It was called bass music. So they call it bass music in the beginning. Then later on, people would call it booty music, but it was all about the bass. And that's, like when the music changed. And then a lot of the girls now, the girls were into dancing. The culture started changing. And if you were still rolling around on the floor and all of that, they would kind of like laugh at you, man. It was like, yo, dude, that shit is played out,
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question because this one just came through my mind.
Yeah.
So the fading out of breaking, do you think, for example, Hollywood was negative to this or positive? Because I do remember all the movies that was done.
Every b-boy that I knew back then, everybody wanted to be a celebrity, some kind of star. They felt that even if they weren't that good at breaking or whatever they did, breaking, rapping, DJing, that somehow they would escape their environment, So everybody was on that Hollywood shit, man. So to me, I was never into that shit, man. I was into like the art form. Like when breaking was dying, I started seeing less and less people do it. So I would go around Miami and try to find the last guys that were left, And there were a lot of crews out here, There was the FBI crew. Later they became Nice and Wild. So they had the FBI crew.
Okay, all right. Let's stop it there for a second because now you're saying something that all these people want to hear. Believe me, this is full of freestyle fans. This video is going to be seen by the freestyle community, and they don't know about this particular info that you're talking about right now.
Well, the thing is that, look, listen. Let me break it down to you. Before they became Nice and Wild, they had a record called Rockin' It, and it was with MC Flex. So Mr. Flex, which was my mentor, the guy I learned breaking from, he was an MC. And I used to sit in his living room. We used to practice in his living room, and it used to drive his mom nuts, And his mom still lives in the same house to this day. But a lot of my best memories were in that house, in that living room. And there was magic. It was just magic to watch Flex on the mic. He could do a whole record nonstop without taking his breath, and it was amazing to see him. So at that time, there was a lot of good MCs. There was Flex, there was Mighty Rock, there was a guy named Izzy Is, Juneski, Jesse Jess, TK. There was a lot of good MCs, man. I'm just trying to remember all of them, but
let me ask you a question. Did
Breezy
came in through later or right around that time? Breezy B.
Who?
Breezy B.
No, Breezy B came a little later. Like mid 80s, I think. But not in the early 80s. Breezy B was another good MC also. He came a little later. I'm talking about the early guys. I'm talking about Mighty Rock, MC Flex, MC Juneski, Jesse Jess, TK. Man, those are the guys. You remember Jesse and TK, they had a record called Young Ladies. Remember that record? Young Ladies drive me crazy. They had that record.
Yeah.
And then Flex had that record Rockin' It. Remember it used to go don't. That was the bass groove, for the record.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would start off, I'm a shake and never bake and never stop and never rock it. That was Flex in the beginning of the record.
Mm-hmm.
And then the FBI crew, they were on the record with Flex. And then later, the same manager they had, which was Joe Granda.
Joe Granda.
He was the guy behind Nice and Wild with them, So
How many people were in Nice and Wild that particular time? The FBI crew. I was like it was.
well, John Menace is the original voice of
Of
Diamond.
course. No, we all know that. No, we all know that. That part we know. We know. That's
Good old John Menace, man.
John
He's a
Menace.
good guy. Listen, Remy
Remy.
was incredibly talented. Like that dude was insane. He can play the timbales like Tito Puente pretty much, And he was a great dancer, great vocalist.
A real entertainer, a real artist. I remember that.
I remember when we used to go see him perform at Facade in North Miami. Miami Beach. Miami Beach. That's where everybody used to go hang out at. Everybody, from FBI crew, James Rock, everybody that I knew used to go hang out over there at that club. And Remy used to perform there with the band. So he was incredible to watch, man. So much talent. But then, like I was telling you in the beginning, nice, month, I like. Getting back to I was telling you, with the FBI crew guys, Nice and Wild was Remy, Reggie, and this kid named Chacho. David
Chacho. We know
he was from Hialeah.
Around here, we call him. We know him as Chacho.
That's how I knew him. I never. Well, yeah, I knew his name David because I remember he used to have a b-boy crew, and they used to hang out at Club Forest back in the days.
Yeah.
And I battled him and his whole crew before he became part of FBI. So
I love that word. I battle. I remember seeing you all like going all over the projects and just battling people. Like it was crazy.
Well, because I used to love the challenge, man. Listen, even when we used to battle people, sometimes if you were in the wrong neighborhood and it was a hostile neighborhood, there'd be a bunch of people waiting outside to jump you. But if you went in there humbly and you were humble and you were kind of cool, you would make friends with a lot of these guys that were from those neighborhoods. And I met a lot of guys that were down with me that were from different neighborhoods, from Carroll City, North Miami Beach, Wynwood, Little Havana, Sweetwater. I had a lot of different guys that were down with my crew, TDK. And you remember Danny? Danny
Colasso.
Danny Colasso was part of my crew.
What was his breaking name was
Frosty Ice. And so getting back to like I was telling you, man, because we're going back and forth with breaking and freestyle. And well, this is what happened. When we were living the embodiment of what people call hip hop, or what would become hip hop, it was pretty much black, Latinos, whites, all different kind of people. If you were poor and you lived in the same neighborhood, it didn't matter if you were black, white, Hispanic, and Hispanic, I mean all different nationalities. From Cuban to Dominican, Puerto Rican, Peruvian, whatever you were. Costa Rican, didn't matter. Panamanian, Colombian, all of that. So we never saw each other. We didn't see each other like as different colors. Like right now, all this stuff that's happening out there with colors and this and that. And then recently I heard some people saying that we were guests in hip hop. No, that's bullshit. We were never guests in hip hop. We were there when hip hop was created. When it was created, we were there. There was no such thing as guest in hip hop, So, all now you see all this separation and all this prejudice and all this negative stuff going around to me, which I'm not really not really too appealed about. But
No, because you're an ambassador of unity for everyone. Like you said a little
yeah,
while. We really never realized. We didn't even care. We were just.
nah, we didn't listen, man. It's all about unity, love, and having fun, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then what happens is freestyle music comes in, and now the term goes in. It's called Latin hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Because now all the Latin kids that were into the hip hop game are now into the
Freestyle.
like I mean, because you had these groups coming out like TKA and Brenda K. Star and these early groups that were coming out, and everybody wanted to be sexy and pretty, and I understood that. There was a time for me. I knew that breaking didn't belong in clubs. And I remember that in the beat club vividly. I remember sitting in the beat club one night and I was saying to myself, man, where's breaking gonna be where's breaking gonna be at a few years from now? Is it just something we're living in the moment and it's gonna be gone? See, because the way I saw breaking, I didn't see breaking as something that everybody was just doing for fun. I saw something different in it. I saw something athletic and beyond the artistic and cultural side of it, because there's the artistic side and the cultural side, but then there's the competitive side. And with competition comes elevation, because you always want to be better than the next guy. So what happens? You want to look better, feel stronger, be able to do more things than the other guy can do. And that comes with athleticism. See? So I was just living the moment for what it was. But I knew that it was going to change. I just didn't know when. And I didn't know it was going to change that fast. And bro, as fast as it came is as fast as it went. And I saw a lot of people just disappear. And there were a few guys left that I was trying to have continue with me, but little by little, it was like you have a platoon of soldiers, and little by little, each one of them gets picked off until there's maybe 3 or 1 left, and that's the way it was. And by the time I was back in New York City, everything had changed. Nobody was really breaking anymore. It was kind of like played out. Everybody was into the black stockings and the progressive hairdos and the shiny pointy shoes and the mock neck tops, and that was the style. So everybody went from Adidas and Pumas to dressing up pretty now to impress everybody else, it was a different vibe, man, the music and everything. And I remember I went to the club that used to be called the Roxy, and it was where they did the movie Beat Street. And I remember it wasn't called the Roxy anymore. It was called now 1018s. And what used to be the Fun House, which is where Jelly Bean was from, was now called the Heartthrob. And when I went to these clubs, man, I was dressed in a motorcycle suit. I'll never forget. And when I was breaking, some people looked at it like funny, like nobody does that, until they threw on that Give It Up, Turn It Loose James Brown record, which was like a national, like an anthem. And everybody started getting down at Club 1018. And everybody started battling or trying to battle me. And it was fun. I loved it, but it had moved on, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And like I was telling you, Bernie,
let me ask you
yeah.
a question. So okay, so for example, breaking disappear in that particular moment over here in South Florida, and that's when you say, well, let me go to New York to the source because I'm really, I like this. I want to be a part of this forever, and that's when you took your time and you went to New York and you went to the source.
Well, I went back. I went back to see how it was there because I had been there already before, but I had gone back, and then I would go back every. I used to do what Flex would do. I'd go back every summer, and then I finally moved back there in the winter of the early '90s. In the early '90s, yeah, like 92, 93, and then I came back again, and until I finally came back to Miami in '96, and I stayed for good. But I always went back with the inspiration that I would find somebody that could still do it. And at the time, some of the guys that I had heard of that were famous were just into different things, and I totally understood that. But then I would reconnect with some of those guys in the early '90s. The guys that I had heard so much about. I would reconnect with some of them, and then they started, doing it again.
Let me ask you a question, Speedy. Let me ask you. So breaking went kind of quiet for how many years, and when did you see like the first news that it was? It never made a comeback over here, but something much bigger happened. What happened?
Well, it went silent from 1985, 86, all the way to 92. So for 6 years, it went dormant.
Hmm.
And
then some good news started coming through. When was the first time that you started?
This is what happened. What happened was, for 6 years, it went dormant commercially. Like you wouldn't hear nothing about breaking commercial at all. There was a couple places that were doing still like little jams, and you'd see a little bit of it here and there for some of the guys. Sí, está bien. So can you hear me?
Yes. We hear you. Fine.
Okay. Sorry, Bernie. That was my mom.
It's okay.
Telling me to take something to my grandma.
Love you, Mom.
So anyways, like I was telling you, and we just got so much to talk about. We're not going to be able to cover it all in this.
We do. So we do. I want to be able to have a few episodes with you because there's so much that you
listen. There's a lot to catch up on, man. I mean, breaking goes hand in hand with everything that we were talking about. It intertwined with freestyle music and rap music,
and also the graffiti culture. I want to be able for you to, because I know you know all about this stuff, because the whole entire thing you can't talk about breaking without mentioning all them people.
Listen, I could only talk about what I know about graffiti, but I'd have to bring on a friend of mine up here.
I like
which his name is Chili.
I like that.
Chili Willie. I'm going to tag him on this post, but you can do an interview with him, and he can break down to you a lot more than I can.
Yeah, but you an interview with you and him, because I have the capacity here for 4 people.
Oh, that's awesome! I'd love to do that with him.
4 people in this bus.
On the next episode, that would be sweet.
So and we've been here for like 54 minutes, and I know you got some things to do, but I just want to leave it at that part. So everything went like dark, like depressive for breaking. But what I want to hear is that moment, that very first moment where you started, where that news came through that breaking was doing something huge, that it was much bigger than what you really thought in your brain. Like, no, this is really big. This thing is global now.
Because I always kept my eye out to the Europeans, because in Europe, when breaking was dying here, it was getting big in Europe. And I remember seeing an article. I was reading a newspaper article from the Miami Herald where they said breaking had just gotten into Russia. And I would show all my friends like excited. Look, you see, and they were just like, yeah, man, sure. You know, so so I was always trying to find what was happening in Europe to kind of bring it back to relevance here. You know, I mean, some of the guys in New York were, like I told you, the few guys that were left in New York, they started a dance company. They had a theater dance company. So with the theater dance company, they were able to start going out there and promoting the dance again, but in theater, you know?
Right.
And, you know, I never thought that. To me, it wasn't that. I especially the type of athlete that I was by the mid 80s, I was on top of my game. I was unbelievable, like the things that I was doing. I couldn't even believe myself half the things that I was doing. But that's why I said this can't die. I by the time breaking started to come back in the early 90s, I was already old. I was already slowing down because at my peak was from 86 to 89. Those 3 years were crucial years to me because I was at my best. Then after 89, going into the early 90s, I started slowing down. But I started teaching a new generation of kids in Miami that would evolve and become the next generation of dancers that were to come out of here. And then, you know, which I'm going to leave it for our
Yeah,
next conversation,
for sure.
you know, so we
Sure.
can talk about the evolution of it.
The evolution, not only that, but information where people are, you know, this younger generation, where do they hang out? What are they up to? What's the plan? What are you doing? What's, you know, that
Man,
whole, because I know Winwood is big on like the graffiti.
listen, man, Winwood has a graffiti museum, which I would like to introduce you to the guy from there that runs it, so you could interview him. And he opened up the first graffiti museum ever in Winwood. So so definitely this has come a long way.
Dame un segundito ahí. Guys, if you're in the South Florida area, don't forget to stop by the Winwood. It's beautiful over there. Basically, Winwood is like what is it like? Maybe like a bunch of, like a whole area full of graffiti.
Listen, man, Winwood reminds me of Soho in New York City. That's what it is. It's the same vibe.
What is the name of that yearly celebration we have at Winwood in South Florida?
Well, it's artistic, man. I remember when Winwood was nothing but drug dealers and drug addicts, and it was crazy out there.
Yeah. What's the name of the what is the name of the event, that global event that everyone comes from all over the place and we have in Winwood for 1 week?
You're talking about the Art Basel. Art Basel.
Very famous all around the globe. So basically, once a year, all of this great urban artists, all, you know, dancing and graffiti and all that, they all come through and you know, unite themselves over here in Winwood, and it's crazy for 1 week over here. Beautiful time. So if you are into the culture like we are, I'm, you know, talking about the culture, you know, one of the things I want to be able to go to one of them dancing battle. I follow, like, for example, people like the Twins all the time on YouTube. I love them dudes, bro. And I love all that. I think it's so cool. Like, I want to be able to go chill one of these days in one of them places. If they come through to the South Florida area, I'm in. I want to go. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, I'm going to leave this for the next conversation, which I'm going to tell you the dance conference that I created about 20, 25 years ago in Miami before Winwood was popping off. And we get people that come from all over the world every year down here. It was me and a couple other people that put it together. one of my partners that helped me put it together. He lives in Los Angeles now. So we actually built on the culture aspect of it, and wanted to educate people on the art form by having these competitions. And a lot of these dancers now are unbelievable. They're unbelievable. So it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. And Bernie, I was going to tell you, I enjoyed this interview.
Part one. This is part one of this.
This is part
only
one.
part one, because this friend of mine, who's a good friend of mine, from the same hood, he's, when it comes to like the culture, hip hop culture in Miami, Florida, yeah, you're gonna see him sooner or later. You're gonna see him because he's all over it. Pioneer of the movement, and So basically, this one is just like episode one, and we're gonna pause it here because the best is yet to come. And I want to be able to tackle the interview with the graffiti. What's his name? Chill Will.
Wachowski.
That's his tag name.
Yeah, his tag name is Chilsky.
Chilsky.
Yeah.
All right.
They're working on a documentary. He's working on a documentary with a couple other friends of mine from the early hip hop history days in Miami. So they're working on a documentary now. So he would definitely be a good guy to speak to and have on the show. So you can get more insight.
Not only him, but because in our community, we all the people in our community, they're hip hop. They're hip hop. All the minority. In this freestyle community, we have if these people were not breakers, they were poppers for real.
Well, listen, hip hop is bigger than the word itself, man. It's not. Hip hop is just a label. It's just a name that was given to a phenomenal subculture that was born on the streets. And it was born out of different nationalities.
Yep.
So that's why, to me, this culture is bigger than the word itself. A lot of people like to use the word hip hop loosely, hip hop this, hip hop that, but it's far from beyond what this culture represented in the time that I was growing up.
Yep.
Even the music now, you call the music now, you call all the music hip hop. This is what I tell people. It's rap. It's called rap. And rap is something you listen to, and hip hop is something you do. It's something you live. So you see the difference? So and you got to remember, it was born out of the streets. So of course it's going to have some negativeness attached to it, but out of the negativeness, the good was born. The positive side of it was born. And at the end of the day, anything that was done competitively was done for fun. And that's about it. So thank you for having me on your show today.
Let's pause it for now. We're gonna pause it, people. This is not gonna be this is only the beginning. And to my good friend, I'm happy that you're here.
Wait a minute. I saw a comment. Some guy named Jay Serrano said that Puerto Ricans and blacks are the pioneers of hip hop and breaking. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay. Puerto Ricans and blacks did do it. And they were probably the first ones that got noticed and fame. But you see, there's a guy named Mr. Freeze that was part of the original Rocksteady crew, and he was not Puerto Rican or black. He was a white, Jewish, French kid. All right? So that's what I'm saying. These are the type, listen, no disrespect to this guy that's talking right now. That's just his opinion, and I respect that. But listen, man, that's like telling me that what you call salsa music was made up by Puerto Ricans and blacks. Salsa music comes from the Cuban rumba sound. That's where it comes from. With a combination of Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and the Cubans. And then it was given the name salsa because Fania Records, which commercialized it in the 70s, needed to give it a name. And Tito Puente said it himself. Listen, this is called mambo, rumba cubana. Salsa is what I put on my food. Tito Puente said that. So the thing is that it's like I'm saying, no disrespect, so okay, he says he knows more about me than I think. Okay, Jay, that's cool. That's cool that you know about me. That's good. I battled your cousin Legs many times. Did he tell you that?
Yeah. He's cousins with Legs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good that I got Crazy Legs' cousin up here joining in with us. But listen, don't try to erase everybody from the forum of hip hop, because in hip hop you had Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, blacks, Jews, all type of people living in the same neighborhood, in the same building, that were all part of it. You see what I mean? So let's be real with it, because I recognize real when I see it. I'm not taking anything from the Puerto Ricans or the blacks. You understand? So, not at all. So let's not go there with that, because I'm just trying to be, I'm just answering questions that a personal friend of mine that I grew up with, Bernie.
Historical questions about what happened, what happened, in a time that is no longer here. Something, it just, in the blink of
listen, the thing is this, man. You brought me on this conversation to talk about South Florida, Miami, and your relationship with me and you, which I don't have a problem talking about, because I know you since you were 11 years old, and you knew that I was there, and no disrespect to anybody in New York City, because I'm friends with a lot of the guys from New York that were all part of this game. But I'm not talking about their history, or I'm trying to tell their history or their story. I'm talking about my story and my experience in this genre.
The South Florida breaking b-boy history, because you was here. You were pioneered.
Listen, man. Listen, I'm not. Listen. I bet you a lot of people don't know that Flex is Cuban. See what I'm saying? So Flex, that came from New York City.
I thought he was Dominican.
Nah, bro. He's Cuban.
Man.
He's freaking Cuban, bro. So the thing is that, come on, people. We're all part of the same culture, man. It doesn't matter if you're Puerto Rican or Dominican or Cuban or black. It doesn't matter. We all enjoy the art and the culture of it, and we all came up under it together. When I would go to a house party,
yes, sir,
there were all different type of people in that house party. You know what I'm saying? So, we got to stop thinking about living in this segregated mind state.
Like that.
You understand? Because it's segregated, bro. It's going to tell you, oh, yo, don't go over here because this type of element of people are here. You got to go and experience and be a part to be able to understand. Because if you don't know nothing about another culture or understand anybody, you're gonna talk, you're gonna pick on them, you're gonna make fun of them, you're gonna look at them different. Why should you? If God made us all alike, we're all humans. Doesn't matter my skin tone. See what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And you know what, Bernie, was funny, man, that people that live here, that people that live here in the United States will never understand the struggle of our country. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They will never understand the struggle of the Cuban, ever. They don't know, I'm not going to get into a political discussion. We can leave that for next time. But, when people talk about the things that I see right now, that my grandparents and some of my family and friends that I know, they know what communism is. They know how it started. Same way you see it now, and people here are so liberal and endorsing these parties and these movements without knowing anything about them. And it's easier for you to brainwash the mind of a poor man than an educated man. Because a poor man is, when he doesn't have the ability to educate himself properly and lives off of ignorance, then that's all he knows. And you can't blame him, for choosing things and doing things that sometimes are not correct. But, going back to like I was saying, man, it's all good, then I mean, debating is good. It's good to have different opinions.
I'm really really happy about this particular first episode. We'll set up for later on, another day of this week, because I know today you got things to do. But I want this one to be I think we're gonna have a bunch of episodes coming up next from you, because I feel that so much that you have to say, so much education.
Listen, man. Listen, when it comes to Miami hip hop history and culture, I was there. I saw it when it started. I saw it when it fell apart, and I'm still here. And same thing when I was living in New York. And like I said, I didn't come on your show. I didn't come on your show to talk negative about anybody from New York or anywhere else, because I'm friends with many of the pioneers from New York. So I'm friends with them, just like I'm a pioneer in my city. Because I was here when it started and I was here when it left. And I've done a lot for my community, and I continue to do a lot for my community by endorsing and supporting the growth and the understanding of it, and to help people better themselves in whatever way that I can. To me, it's like I told you, it's music and dance is a gift, man. And music and dance, if you can touch somebody's life with that and pull them out of a negative situation or a negative thing, it's a blessing, man. Because like I was telling you, when I was experiencing, when I would go from my neighborhood to an all-black neighborhood, and in Miami, which was very segregated at the time.
All right, we got a long comment right there. We have a real long comment.
Yeah.
Read it.
I don't think you were trying to dismiss the others involved, but you are right. We are the pioneers of breaking in hip-hop, and we accepted everyone who embraced our thing. Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons together helped start this. A black man and a Jewish man, they also helped that. Yeah, that's true. Rick Senior Sepúlveda, right? Sepúlveda?
Rick Sepúlveda.
He said, I don't think you were trying to dismiss the others involved, but you are right. We are the pioneers of breaking in hip hop, and we accepted everyone who embraced our thing. Rick Rubin, Russell Simmons. Yeah, Russell, which Russell is the brother of Darren, I believe, which is DJ Run. Together helped start this. A black man, a Jewish man. Yep, he's right, man. He's absolutely right.
Okay.
Rick Senior.
Yeah,
I like that comment.
Let's share this video. What we're gonna do is let's share this video, because and this will be like the first one, I believe, like of many episodes coming up next, because starting with you, but I know that with you, I'm gonna be able to find a lot of this people around our city.
Listen, man, I got a lot of people that would love to talk.
Yes, sir. And we want to hear, we want to listen. If they're willing to talk, we're willing. Our community is willing to listen to a lot of stuff, historic stuff and current, because this is not history. The history is where we were. back in them days. But what are you all guys doing right now? Like, for example, the man you're seeing right here, he's involved in teaching the new hip hop dancers in our beautiful South Florida. You know,
Well, listen, not to interrupt you.
Rick, Speedy, you're like a trophy that all these kids. I see you like a trophy. They take you all around on tour.
Listen, to me, it's like I was telling you, Bernie. It's much bigger.
Yeah.
Listen, you remember, I was born in the civil rights movement. You know, I was born in the civil rights era. And what the civil rights era wasn't able to do, hip hop did. Because hip hop was able to bring black, white, brown, red, yellow, all under the same umbrella. Hip hop is bigger than New York or any other city in the US. It's all over the world.
All over global.
All over the world, bro. Russia, Japan, everywhere. You see what I'm saying? But anyways, I gotta sign off, brother. I got things to do.
Let's do it. Okay,
And-
so this will be the first one. We're gonna pause it here for a second, guys, and we're gonna come back with Rick and a bunch of other people that Rick is gonna bring in too. Okay?
Listen, man, I'm gonna bring you some heavy hitters on the show.
Let's do it because this
Anyways.
Rick, this bus right here has space for 4. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, my brother. Take care.
Take care, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Dale.